Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. We have an amazing show for everybody today. It's actually Giving Tuesday, and in order to join us for that, we've got Ryan Grimm, as always. He's in for Crystal Ball. It's good to see you, Ryan. How are you, man? I
am good. It's great to see you, Saagar. And, everybody out there, remember, Giving Tuesday, remember to support your independent media outlet out there. I suggest The Intercept, but there are a ton of great ones out there. There is no realistic corporate model that's going to deliver you independent news other than the one we're on right now. So, give till it hurts.
There you go.
Great to see you, Saagar.
We love The Intercept, as always, and if you can help them out, any independent media out, highly support you doing that here. I will be joining you. So we have a couple of different guests here. It's going to be really fun today. We've got Matt Stoller, friend of the show. He's going to talk to us about the Biden economic team, kind of how he sees things playing out there. He's been a vociferous critic, but he has some praise for some of those members. It's always got nuanced analysis. And we've got Elena Treen. She's over at Axios. She's got an interesting news story about how Republicans are thinking about how they're going to block some of the different Biden nominees and their general strategy and thinking. So something we're obviously very interested in here. But I wanted to start off here talking about stimulus. Obviously, Crystal and I care a lot about this story. And unfortunately, it seems that all of the players are saying the right things. But when you read between the lines, nothing is moving in the right direction. And a lot of people are going to suffer because of the idiocy of Congress. Take a look at Chuck Schumer speaking a couple of days ago about Biden's position still on the stimulus. Let's take a listen to that.
Have you been in touch with the transition team?
I've been in touch with both the transition team and the president-elect on a variety of subjects, but usually I keep them to myself.
I guess the only other thing was, have you spoken to Speaker Pelosi?
I speak to Speaker Pelosi all the time. Okay, thank you, everybody. She agrees with Heroes bill should pass, as does President-elect Biden.
And you're confident that you could try and get McConnell on board?
Well, we hope to try. I hope he will get on board.
So there you go, Ryan. I mean, basically, nothing has changed. The absolutist position that Heroes is the only bill that's going to pass is now supported by Biden, by Pelosi, and by Schumer. And, we'll play McConnell's piece in a bit, but I want to get your thoughts in here, which is that is essentially a declaration that nothing is going to happen here. And we've got benefits that are expiring on December 26th. It's just a travesty.
And everybody leading into the election was playing political games with the stimulus.
Yes.
The House Speaker, thought that she was being clever in kind of dragging out negotiations with Mnuchin. That probably cost House Democrats a significant number of seats. We don't know the exact number, but a lot of those candidates lost by a handful of votes, and people were angry that there was no round of relief that came, toward the end of the election. At the same time, the Trump administration wasn't getting very serious. They weren't, it wasn't clear that they weren't, and they certainly weren't leaning on Mitch McConnell, who seemed just completely comfortable to just kind of, play out the clock and wait for the election. And now here we are, and the bills are stacking up.
Yeah, no, you're right. And look, it's not like McConnell is like the best faith actor here, right? Here's what he had to say about stimulus. Let's take a listen.
There's no reason, none, why we should not deliver another major pandemic relief package to help the American people through what seems poised to be the last chapters of this battle.
Right. But of course, what he means there, Ryan, is let's just pass the clean $500 billion Senate Republican version, which has no stimulus, basically has no stimulus checks. I think is a modest, unemployment increase or whatever, and some renewed PPP funding. Now, look, the PPP, Paycheck Protection Program, is great, but at this point, got 100,000 small businesses which are dead. We've got all these expiring unemployment benefits, not extra money, but it includes, gig workers, a lot of these things. We've got the eviction moratorium that expires in January 1st, and we've got I think it's the government funding still needs to be done in like 10 days. And of course, none of that has passed, and these people are not really doing anything. What's so crazy to me is the list of people who are actually interested in getting something done. I wanted to credit them here. Let's throw the list of names up there. There's a bipartisan working group of senators. Now, look, I'm not going to give you any hope that this is real, but There are some Republicans, and they're not necessarily the populist ones that I've praised on this show. You got Mitt Romney, you got Susan Collins, you got Lisa Murkowski, and so those are and Rob Portman, and then you've got a handful of Democrats there as well. I mean, these are largely, centrist neoliberals, but hey, fine. If that's what it's going to take, then that's completely fine with me. You really don't see. I mean, and look, we got to say this about the left too. It's not like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are clamoring here. Bernie on this show made the case to Crystal that only heroes is really the one that they should go for. I mean, look, Americans are hurting right now, Ryan, and we don't see a lot of leadership in Congress right now.
Right. And even if you don't care that Americans are hurting right now, you could make an easy fiscal argument that
of course.
that now is the time to invest in this. We're a couple months away from, we're a couple weeks away from the vaccine starting to roll out, but a couple months away from it starting to be at scale around the country. So we have to get the country from here to there. And as anybody whose life has fallen apart knows, it's much more expensive to put your life back together than it is to keep it from falling apart. So if you can keep people in their apartments, keep people getting paychecks, keep people getting their benefits between now and March, that actually costs the federal government a lot less than destroying the entire economy. And the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has been warning about this, that if Congress doesn't act, there is a significant risk of serious economic deterioration. And then you're talking in the trillions. And then you're talking about an economic hole that is so gaping that it starts to be cyclical and swallows everything up in it. And it's just another story of the United States political system, destroying itself.
Yeah, and that's such a good point. And it's a point that we try to make here a lot, which is that, look, for every $1 that you could spend right now, you're going to have to spend 3, maybe even 5 in order to make that up in the months to come. And Ryan, we both know there will be zero appetite once the vaccine comes and once the stock market rebounds. I was looking at savings rates. Savings rates are sky high. Amongst whom? High-income Americans, which means that the economy is only going to shift towards even more high-income consumer spending. People, nail salons are going to be making a lot of money. Personal trainers are going to be making a lot of money. Uber drivers, right? People in hotels. But of course, what do people who actually work in those industries, what the hell are they going to do? Senator Mark Warner, again, not somebody I'm generally a fan of. I actually thought he put this very well yesterday. He's one of this bipartisan group of senators who's trying to move the chamber towards a rational direction. Let's take a listen to what he said.
Andrea, it would be stupidity on steroids if Congress didn't act before the holiday. The idea that people are going to lose their unemployment benefits at the day after Christmas, or people are going to be pushed out of their apartments January 1st, or that we're not going to give adequate funding for testing or vaccine distribution, it would be the worst self-inflicted harm in recent times. And, we need to get back to that notion of where we stepped up in a major way with the CARES package in March. We've now got the second wave. We need to do more. And I do think people of good faith are working together to see if we can get a meaningful package. Both sides are going to have to come. The Democrats aren't going to get what they wanted with a $2 trillion plan. And clearly the so-called skinny plan that Leader McConnell put out is not nearly enough to provide a bridge.
Yeah, and look, that's the rational perspective, but I just saw a quote, Ryan, from Senator Richard Shelby. He's chairman of the Appropriations. He's like, no, it's not going to happen. We're too far apart. And look, this is what Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, let's throw this tweet up there on the screen. He said that economic improvement, it has moderated with extraordinarily uncertain outcomes. That uncertainty is not because of the virus. We have relative certainty. It's Congress, and they are refusing to do anything. As you point out, I think this is one of the most foolish and self-inflicted wounds that we are going to have for a long time. And I see no leadership from right or left whenever it's actually happening. And this is my real question to you. How is this going to play out with the Biden team? Because, look, I think we both are very much under the impression, we'll have a guest later on today, that shows that the Republicans are just going to return to total obstructionism. You covered the Obama stimulus negotiations in and out. You basically have the exact same players. What's going to happen?
They've got to be extremely worried about what the consequences would be for an economic slowdown over the next 2 years, and I'm sure they'll be pushing for as much stimulus as they can get, because it is a lot of the same players, but they have it's not all of the same players. You don't have Rahm Emanuel in there yet. You're not going to have him in the room making decisions on stimulus. You don't have Larry Summers. You don't have some of the others, who would agree that you needed more stimulus but thought that it wasn't politically possible. You have, more progressive economists in there this time that are saying no. This is, the biggest mistake you can make here is undershooting it. Yet they don't. Democrats controlled the Senate in 2009. That's not the situation now. Mitch McConnell has to worry about overplaying his hand and being seen as the one that is causing too much chaos, because the next 2 years could be good. Could be good for Democrats if the vaccine gets out, if the economy opens up and you see growth. That's not through any doing of the Biden administration. That's just through the timing of the vaccine and the economy opening back up. So I do think there is a little bit more risk for McConnell here than he thinks there is.
No, I completely agree with you. And as you pointed out, Pelosi, because being cute and playing these little games with the stimulus, probably cost a lot of Democrats in these swing states their seats. Look, this is a depressing segment, but really you can see that everybody in our political leadership, and Trump included, by the way, I don't know where the hell he is whenever he's talking about this. He tweeted the other day, something like restaurants must be taken care of. Okay, that's nice. Still president. You can actually do something about it. And, I just think it's a terrible story. Anyways, we're going to have more Rising for everybody right after this.